It's what now? Questions rise in the depth of night. Stories unfold where the heartbeats blend. A new page turns, but where's the end? What now, what now? The people say. Voices echo, we pave the way. Real talk, real love, no filters here. What now, we make it clear. Yeah, the silence speaks and the rhythm knows. What now, every tale we tell, the energy grows. Jazz in the soul and the truth in view. Old school style, but the lens feels new. What now?
Hi, welcome to What Now? My name is Chrystal Ojon, and I'm sitting here with Chief Goodman from our Maricopa PD office, who's a great asset to this community. Today, we really want to talk a little bit about childhood abuse and how to combat it. He's got great tips, and he's willing to share a little bit with us today. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about one thing, starting off, is what are the current top concerns that your department is seeing in Maricopa related to sexual exploitation? Are you seeing stuff like that?
Well, thanks for having me back on What Now, Chrystal. It's really a pleasure to be here this afternoon. So, one of our primary concerns is young people having access to the internet, either via mobile devices or telephones or just their computers every day. When I grew up, believe it or not, the internet didn't exist. But our young people, they have access to the internet 24/7, and a lot of good things come from being online. There's a lot of educational opportunities for our young people. There's a lot of learning opportunities. There's a lot of ways that the internet opens up the world to our young people. But unfortunately, it can also be a portal for predators to get into the lives of our children online. And sometimes those things seem very, very innocent or innocuous at first, but then can turn into things that can be very harmful to our young people.
So with that being said, what are some suggestions you would give to parents, maybe some things that they could be a little bit more aware of?
So first and foremost, Chrystal, I would say, I love when our parents are involved really heavily in the lives of their children. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean being in their personal space or being in their business 24/7. I remember what it was like to be a young person, believe it or not, even though it was over 3 decades ago. But I do remember, wanting to have my personal space as a teenager or a young person. And so I think there is a balance, but I would love for parents to be very involved in what their young people are looking at online, on what websites they're visiting, on what applications they're using on their phones. There are a plethora of messaging applications now that our young people can download onto their phones, and most of them are used for just that, for messaging, or talking amongst their friends.
It's like puts limitations on how far they could.
Yeah, some applications have parental controls built into them. Even some really popular applications like Snapchat or TikTok or things like that can end up becoming portals into the lives of our young people, for people who don't always have the best intentions for them.
Well, another question I have is, what is Maricopa PD doing when it comes to interacting with parents? Are there programs that you guys have set up already that perhaps help the parents, help the kids? Is there something like that?
We're glad to give resources to parents. One thing that I'm really happy that we do on a regular basis is partner with some of our nonprofits.
Okay.
Excuse me. Like Against Abuse is one of our nonprofits that we partner with. Also, anything involving interactions with youth. I know that Ms. Priscilla Brenke has a great program that young people can participate. And really it's encouraging and giving the resources to our young people to build relationships with trusted adults.
Okay.
We want our young people to feel comfortable with going to a trusted adult when they have something happen, or they see something, or they hear something, or maybe they've been contacted by someone who's essentially a stranger online, and maybe some of the interactions are making them feel a little uncomfortable. We want them to feel comfortable going to a teacher, or going to a parent, or going to an aunt, or going to an uncle, or going to a counselor. We have so many adults here in Maricopa who are really invested in the lives of our young people, like Priscilla and Be Awesome.
Okay.
You know, that is a great organization for our people to be, our young people to be a part of, and it helps them build relationships with adults, both that they can trust. You know, it's not just their parents. We want them to build relationships with people who can be trusted in our community, so that we can get things that need to be reported.
And that's so important, because parents and students need to see the police department and a light that is not negative, but see that you're there to help them. And especially the parents, because we were talking a little bit about this earlier, how some parents really want to be their child's friend. And in some instances, they're kind of backing out, and I don't know what that is. A reaction to maybe a generation prior. I came from a background where it was very strict, and so there was a lot of corporal punishment. A lot of people have gone through that, and so what they've decided to do is they don't want to do any of that. But you have to be somewhere balanced, I think. Tell us a little bit about how your background was growing up as a kid. How does that affect the way you look at things now?
Yeah, I think having a balance is super important. You know, when I was growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, you know, we didn't have access to cell phones because it didn't exist. You know, the internet, when I went to college, we didn't have the internet. And I tell young people, I went to college and there was no internet. And they say, what? What are you talking about, no internet? I said, yeah, we went to this place called the library and had these things called books. And you had to look in them. So a little bit different experience for me growing up, you know, than some of our young people. But yeah, I really encourage parents to be involved in the lives of their children. It will not only benefit them from, you know, preventing somebody that's meaning their child harm, but also, you know, I think that we see much higher levels of academic success and with general happiness with young people who have engaged parents.
Let me ask you a little bit about the statistics as it relates to that. What sort of statistics do you see here in Maricopa with regard to, you know, maybe child abduction, molestation, or that kind of thing? Are we on the low end, or do we see that?
So we're certainly on the low end.
Okay, that's good to know.
We do not have high levels of violent crime here in Maricopa. Most of our crime is property crime.
Property crime.
Yeah. But we do pay quite a bit of attention to young people who are having a little bit of trouble in their lives. You know, we are fortunate to have a school district that has school resource officers in it. Maricopa Unified is very involved with the police department. And we have officers on both of our high school campuses and both of our junior high campuses. And so that gives our kids just one more person to potentially give information to if they feel like something's not quite right. And we investigate every single one of those reports. We are like mandated reporters, you know, as our teachers, as our social workers, and so those individuals give us information, and we're required by law to investigate those cases. We partner with the Department of Children's Services, oftentimes with our investigations. So it helps us to sort of close the loop. You know, the criminal investigations are important, but it's also super important to make sure that we're connecting our young people with resources. You know, not just give them, you know, maybe a piece of paper with a web address on it, but if we are able to actually do a nice, warm handoff to someone that's in a social services role, so that they can actually make an introduction. You know, it's much better than me saying, yes, you know, go over to that red door over there, knock on the door, and someone will answer and someone will give you some help. You know, we want to walk them to the door. And we want to knock on that door with them and help, you know, get an introduction done and hand them off to someone who we trust, who they can trust, to get them the help that they need. So we're not always dealing with crime. You know, we're dealing with kids that maybe need a little bit of help with mental health or wellness. And so get them pointed in the right direction so that they're happy and healthy and they're productive and they're getting those things they need to thrive here in America.
That's awesome. And just as we get towards the end of our interview here, a quick question. Do you guys participate in Kids Day? I know that's an annual event with about 8,000 people that come through. Is that something you guys participate in also?
We love Kids Day, and I look forward to being there. I think it's coming up in
September. Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to being there. Yes, Maricopa PD will have a booth there, and again, we look forward to being there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're going to take a break and come right back. What Now with Chief Goodman.
The game is on the line. Championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Healthy love is built on respect, trust, and care. Let's celebrate the words that reflect the love you deserve. Tag a friend to share this with. Advocates are ready to assist you if you need help.
Welcome back to What Now? And we're going to have a few more questions with Chief Goodman, whom we love in our community, such a great asset. And right today we're talking about how children are impacted, and their parents as well, with childhood, childhood trauma, abuses, that sort of thing. And he's really shared with us today tips on how parents need to be more involved and be a little bit more careful about their children and how they interact with social media. But I do have a real quick question for you. How can faith-based organizations and youth mentorship after-school programs support your department?
So our churches and our nonprofits here in town, they play an integral role in developing those relationships that I've been talking about with trusted adults. Again, we want our young people to be able to go to people who they have confidence will do the right thing and take care of the issues that they're addressing. And our pastors and our clergy are a big part of that. A lot of our churches have really robust youth programs, and so that's yet another way that parents can have their children be involved in something that's positive, that builds those good relationships, that doesn't have as much of a chance of having that portal to the outside world, mainly via the internet, where folks can sneak into our lives very innocently at first, and then perhaps something dark waits down the pathway.
Yeah. Are some of the faith-based organizations interacting now with the police department? I think there is a couple initiatives going on. Maybe the one with Councilman, I'm going blank now.
Yeah, Councilmember Gettle. Councilmember Gettle is trying to bring together a coalition of organizations, including faith-based organizations, nonprofit, potentially city organizations like the police department, just to be involved in making sure that our young people have positive influences in their lives and positive activities and ways to learn and ways to just enhance and elevate their lives.
And I really do appreciate the way you interact at a lot of city council meetings. I see you at various organizations, and you interact very well with the parents and the children. And people have a really good positive outlook, but they feel comfortable with you. So thank you for being that kind of a police chief.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Totally appreciate that. The other thing we could talk about is for families and youth listening today to our conversation, what would you most want them to take away when it comes to safety, communication, and community vigilance?
So just be careful. For our young people, I know that the world is coming at you, it's coming at you at light speed. And there are so many things out there that can distract us from what's important. Just be involved. Parents, be involved in the lives of your kids. Kids, be careful where you go on the internet. Not everything is as it appears. If you have any questions about things that you're seeing on applications or messages you might be getting, please don't hesitate to talk to your parents or another trusted adult so they can take a look and point you in the right direction.
Fantastic. Good information. And one other thing, I did come across some I think there's a website that shows red dots and shows you names and people that are maybe, I don't want to say pedophiles, but they live in the area. What can parents do to stay on top of things like that? If people are moving into the area, what can they do?
Yeah, just have an awareness. There are different web-based information resources out there that people can look at. You can check your neighborhood. We are also very vigilant as a police department, and so when we have someone that moves into our community that qualifies for those registration thresholds, we're sure to send postcards out to the neighborhoods that might be impacted.
I wonder how that process.
It's just for awareness,
Okay.
so that people can be aware of their surroundings, and if they see something unusual, if it's out of place, I always say, don't hesitate to call us. You know, I always say, you know your neighborhood the best. I know my neighborhood the best. You know your neighborhood the best. You see something that you know is out of place, don't just rationalize it away. Pick up the phone and call us. A lot of people say, well, we don't want to bother you. You're not bothering us. We exist to serve the community. And so that's why we are open 24/7, 365. If it's an emergency, please call 911. Otherwise, please call us on our non-emergency line. And we are happy to get an officer out and to look at your concern.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Are there any future events that the police department is going to be holding for the community? Any things upcoming that we need to be aware of that we should be participating in?
I would love to do Coffee with a Cop quarterly now.
Okay.
That's one of my new initiatives, is quarterly Coffee with a Cop. We've done some other fun initiatives in the past. We did some ice cream social in the past. We've also done pizza with the police. We ran out of pizza, which is a great thing. A lot of people showed up. I would love to partner with some of our new businesses in town, say Duke's Roadhouse. For instance, I would love to do maybe a small coffee event, maybe from 9 to 11 at Duke's Roadhouse. I'm going to be reaching out to their ownership to see if they'd be open to do something like that. And then people who want to stay for lunch at 11 o'clock when they open, they can stay for lunch and enjoy a new business here in Maricopa.
Yes.
I also am thinking about doing, I love catchphrases with our events. So Pizza with the Police is a great one. I really want to do a Tuesday event, highlight Taco Tuesday. I want to do tacoing with the police Tuesday.
I love it.
I just need to find the right partner to do that. It's going to be a fun event. So keep your eyes open for some of that stuff as we move forward. But yeah, my vision is to start doing some quarterly, at least coffee events. They're very, very well received. They're very low cost, and I get a lot of return on the investment.
That's what I was going to ask you. You find that you're interacting with some of the parents and just the community in general. Do you get feedback a little bit more that way? Because people are not, it's a laid back situation, so I'm wondering if people feel more free to speak to you.
Yeah, I try to be as approachable as I can anyway. You'll see me, oftentimes you'll see me not in my uniform. And I'll be in something like this, or maybe just in business casual. And I love it when people approach me and have conversations with me. Some people may be a little standoffish about wearing a uniform, or officers that are uniformed. We try to make sure that our officers are approachable, even when in uniform. So you'll see me in all kinds of different modes of dress. But whether I'm in my uniform or just business casual, I try to be welcoming. I try to make sure that people know that I really do genuinely want to interact with them. I really want to genuinely build those relationships, because that's what the next generation of community policing is about.
You are so easy to communicate with. I love that. And I think it's rare. And so, not to just, give you all the accolades, but I think it's something that the police departments could maybe pick up.
I do appreciate that. I do encourage my fellow police executives to be accessible, to people in their community. I ask people to take advantage of it. People can call me if I don't pick up the phone, and I often do. But if I don't, please leave me a message. Glad to call you back. Email is a great way to get in touch with me. I'm super responsive on email.
Fantastic.
For those of you who want to reach me on email, it's Mark, M-A-R-K, .Goodman, Goodman, @ az.gov. Not underscore, but -az.gov.
Make that clear, huh?
Yep, a lot of people get confused.
I know. And what number should they call if they want to reach out to you as well?
They can just call my desk line. It's 520-316-6909.
Fantastic. Well, as always, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for sharing great information today.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I think our listeners and those viewers will gain some insight today on what it takes as a parent to communicate with your children and to keep them safe. You have to communicate, and so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for viewing in What Now with Chief Goodman. Stay and look for future shows. What now?
Where the heartbeats blend, a new page turns, but where's the end? What now, what now? The people say, voices echo, we pave the way. Real talk, real love, no filters here. What now, we make it clear. Yeah. The silence speaks and the rhythm knows. What now? Every tale we tell, the energy grows. Jazz in the soul and the truth in view. Old school style, but the lens feels new. What now? The people